You were one of the first people that I remember coming out and saying Charles Cross is this top offensive tackle in the NFL draft, the Mississippi State offensive tackle. That now is like some people's offensive tackle 3, offensive tackle 4. Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network has him behind Trevor Penning at this point. I thought the big 3, right, it was going to be Ike Ekwonu, Evan Neal, and Charles Cross as these guys that everyone's considering top 10, top 15 players. Now you're seeing Cross start to fall. What do you feel like some of the reasoning for that is, right? Is it because he's not going to test like a Neal or an Ekwonu? Is that like, or Penning, right? Penning's expected to be this athletic freak. Is it all that, or what's your thought there?
Yeah, I think for me it's the athletic testing, and I'm like, I come at it obviously from maybe a different angle as like a former coach, where I'm like, hey, this guy Charles Cross has impeccable technique. Like I think he's the most technically refined tackle in the draft right now. His 2021 season is basically perfect, right? Especially from a pass pro perspective. So it's like I understand why he's falling, but to me, you have to put him in the tier 1 group with like the 2 others you said from NC State, Ekwonu and Evan Neal from Alabama. Penning for me probably more of a tier 2 guy. I certainly understand why he's rising at the draft boards because the height, weight, size thing is pretty good, obviously. But to me, Cross, I mean the issue with Cross is like the 2020 Cross is not very good, but the 2021 Cross is legitimately a 5-star tackle prospect. So to me, he's number 1.
What are your thoughts on the criticism of like Mike Leach tackles and the history of air raid tackles going to the NFL when it's just so different, it's just visually and like what they're asked to do compared to what they're going to be asked to do in the NFL?
So this is my theory, and I have no data to back this up. But when I watched the 2020 tape, I noticed that there was classic Mike Leach O-line splits, which is very wide, right? They try to, I think the idea was back in the day, and still is for the Mike Leach teams and Hal Mumme and all these air raid guys, like we're going to spread our O-line out so that we put them all, we spread the D-line out and get them further away from the quarterback. But the issue is that you put all your individual offensive linemen on islands by themselves. And you saw that in 2020, he was just getting beat all the time. And I think, again, I don't have the data with it, but I think they cut down the splits, and it helped a lot more in terms of being able to communicate with his guard that's next to him. And they were really awesome, I thought, in passing off stunts and stuff like that, and just helped him like be in a more kind of more natural tackle position. I think it helped.
Seth, I'll tell you what, you don't have the data for that, but at the combine, you can ask him. You can ask Charles Cross. You're like, Charles, hey, did they cut down the splits this year? Do you think that helped? I think that would be a great question. I'd love to see you do it.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm going to write this down.
I can't
wait.
You
put it in my Google Calendar, please.
The other thing I'd highlight, and it's like what you find out about the evaluation process, specifically about the combine too, is so much of the evaluation is projection and what this player can be, right? Like so few people in this process bring up what Charles Cross or any player is right now. No one cares what they are right now. When you talk to people here in the draft, it's like, I care about what he could be in 3 years.
I have this issue where it's like, oh, well, like it's the potential issue, like potential. Who this guy can potentially be, blah, blah, blah. When it's like, well, no, just because, in my opinion, Cross is like already a pro-ready prospect doesn't mean that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to get guys to play in the NFL, right?
Exactly.
Like that's a good thing. And it's not to say that I have issues with the other guys. I have whatever balance issues in 2 different ways with the NC State guy and the Alabama guy, but at the same time, they're to me in the tier 1 group. And like, let's say that the Jaguars are the team that's going to take a tackle. You take one of them, I'm cool with it. Like to me, it's like don't get overconfident with like your individual evaluation of the player. Figure out who's in the tier 1 of the position you need, and go get one.
Talking to Nate Tice last night, whose dad was Mike Tice, who's an offensive line coach in the NFL for a very long time, he brought up how a lot of coaches, and Nate has been in scouting departments as well, how a lot of coaches will say, give me this player, and what I can turn him into in 3 years will be insane. And he mentioned that about his dad, about a handful of players. And I was like, what percentage of coaches, like your dad, say that same thing? He's like, all of them. Every single coach thinks they can turn a Trevor Penning, an Evan Neal, or an Ike Ekwonu into this like 10-time All-Pro. Like every single one. I think that's the balance that you have to strike with like your coaching staff and obviously your scouting department telling you what he is now, and the coach is saying what he can be in 4 years.
When I saw Renner play flag football this summer, play quarterback, I was like, give me 15 years of and we got ourselves
and I can maybe start on a high school team. Now, let's talk about the quarterback class though, since you're a former quarterback coach.
Current flag football quarterback.
I had one more question on the OT class, if I could.
No, you can't. Okay, no, go ahead. What do you
well, there's a lot of buzz here in Indy about Ike Ekwonu potentially being this #1 overall pick. I know we talked a lot about Charles Cross. What are in your view, what are the positives with Ike Ekwonu? What are the negatives? And you obviously see it as cross Neal Ekwonu
I think
right now.
so, yeah.
But what do you think is vaulting him up all the way to the #1 status? And then what are your pros cons on him?
I mean, I feel like I'm kind of an ass for saying this, but I do think like his mentality, his demeanor kind of vaults him up. You put on the tape and you're excited.
You're not an ass for that. I buy into that.
Yeah, but you're excited to watch
Fun to watch.
Ike Ekwonu's tape. Right?
Yeah.
It's great, especially against the run. I mean, as a run blocker. I think as a pass pro guy, and it's funny because I talked about balance between the two of them. I think with Evan Neal, the balance issues start maybe with his feet getting kind of tangled up a little too much. And with Ekwonu, it's more of an upper body thing where I feel like in his pass sets he'll like lean on guys too much, which is like, okay, yeah, you can get away with it when you're playing against like a Virginia defensive end or whatever, but maybe that's not gonna be possible at the next level. So, but two things that are very fixable, which is why again I don't have them that far below Cross. I couldn't get enough of Cross's tape when I watched him. So yeah, to me he's just the cleanest prospect. But when you talk about height, weight, size with Neal and Ekwonu, I mean, potential, right? That's the word again.
That is.